Hey, I'm Devin Spear, and this is Disruption Weekly for June 28, 2024. We're going to talk about generative AI and a couple of examples. And the first off is Anthropic. This is the maker of Claude. They've just released Claude 3.5 Sonnet. Claude has had many versions, Sonnet, and I'm drawing a blank on the other two. But the 3.5 update, Sonnet and Opus, the 3.5 update is really getting a lot of recognition. Here's some benchmarks that show it outperforming GPT 4.0 and Gemini 1.5 Pro. I've liked Claude for a long time because for writing, it seems to have it's more warm, human-like copy than ChatGPT. But the other element that they released in this 3.5 update is it's also available on iOS, the iPhone app, and is free, which is a real big benefit. I guess GPT 4.0 is also free. And 3.5 has image recognition. You can upload images, diagrams, graphics, photos, and it can describe it and understand it. This is really powerful with charts and graphs. And then for programmers, there's another tool that they've added called Artifacts, which helps programmers and coders have a real-time input and view of what the code is doing in a separate window. So check out, if you're not a Claude user, check out Claude 3.5, the Sonnet edition, and see how you like it. I think most people are going to wind up using many generative AI tools, and they're all competing monthly with each other. In the same category, a brand new company I just learned about called Hedra AI has launched something called Character One, another example of text to video generation tools. These guys make it really simple. You can upload some text copy, maybe upload an image of yourself or an image of somebody or something, and it will animate that and do lip sync and sing and rap, or it can obviously just speak. The examples are really cool. Check these out in the link in the newsletter this week. And I think this is the beginning of generative AI in the text to video world. You know, we last week we talked about all the new competitors to Sora. Well, here's just another fourth or fifth or sixth competitor doing the same thing. You're going to see enormous amount of content in social media and general broadcast advertising that is going to be fundamentally just synthetic content, talking heads that never existed in the real physical world. So another player in that space, Hedra AI. And then the third example is just in the audio version. 11 Labs, a well-known generative AI company that was focusing on text to audio, has now extended that to a new app, I think also just available on iOS, the iPhone, where it can basically read anything that you can have on your mobile device. So this means text you can copy and paste into the app, as well as web pages, give it a URL, or PDFs. So the practical use case, one example, is if you're exercising and you're tired of listening to your favorite podcast, now you can just listen to a PDF, change the voices, many voices that come out of the box, change the speed, the playback. It basically is like a podcast with your copy, your content. And it makes sense because we're kind of merging in all these different applications where we're using existing digital media assets in every way possible to create some new utility value. Text to audio is one more example. I like the 11 Lab guys because they're going to integrate with everybody. They're going to partner. They're going to build their own tools. So get on board with 11 Labs today. And here's an example of the interface and the voices. And find ways to experiment with it reading to you when you don't have time to read yourself. And nobody has time to read anything. So in those examples, we're all focusing on the political election in America. Maybe you saw the debate this week. Well, the deepfake world has been prophesized for a couple of years as to how bad it's going to be. Google DeepMind and their research partner, Google Jigsaw, just completed a 1-year study of 200 incidents of misuse of deepfakes. No surprise, a majority of that was in the celebrity and political category, but scams and harassment and propaganda and parody was adding to the list. And well, it kind of speaks for itself. You can imagine what we're in store for the last half of 2024, where you see the examples, you see the exponential growth of digital content coming from synthesized AI sources. We're going to have a very challenging period for people who aren't used to seeing and analyzing the content. They're not going to know what's real. They're not going to know what is truly authentic and what is fake, deep fake, synthetic AI generated. So just a study to validate what we already know, and it's going to get worse. Now, in the automotive sector, Volkswagen just announced an integration with ChatGPT, which I think Mercedes also has had that for a short period of time. ChatGPT integration with the automobile. Volkswagen is another player in that space. Automobiles have had speech to command recognition native to the manufacturer for years. It's nothing new, but to go to an outside source, an AI source like OpenAI, you'll probably see this with Anthropic and Google for sure, and then whatever Apple winds up doing with Apple CarPlay, you'll see this everywhere. The benefits might seem obvious. You get all the capabilities of navigating in-car controls, but then you couple that with geolocation, and then you add to that maybe any question you can think of that one of these large language models can answer. So this is the example of what Starbucks wanted to be for the last several decades, the third place, not home, not office, but that third place in between. Well, the auto manufacturers wanted to be the third place in competition to your local coffee shop for a long time. Now, that makes a lot more sense when you infuse AI into the vehicle. You might just sit in your car, all day and never go back to your house. Probably not. But here's the last comment on political ideas, and this one is about cryptocurrency and specifically Bitcoin. Congressman Matt Gaetz has announced a bill or introduced a bill to allow federal tax payments to be made in the form of Bitcoin, BTC, which apparently was inspired by his recent visit to El Salvador, where the country, El Salvador, has fully embraced Bitcoin. You can use Bitcoin to pay for anything, including government interactions. And I think this is fantastic. Now, whether this becomes law or not, we'll see. There's probably a lot of opposition. But if you can use Bitcoin to pay your federal income tax, it will open the door to using Bitcoin and then Ethereum, and then where's it in? Solana and who knows what else, to do all types of interactions at the federal level, which will roll over into finance, TradFi, traditional finance. And is great for the awareness and education of Bitcoin for more and more people to get a wallet and start using it. And then that just drives up Bitcoin value and pricing. So good for you, Representative Matt Gaetz. Let's see what happens with this bill. And that is it for this week, June 28th, 2024, the Disruption Weekly from Over Above. I hope you enjoyed the newsletter this week. Please subscribe and tell your friends, and we will see you next week.